crafty friends, Katrina the Crafty Cataloger here. Yeah, I know it's been a long time, and I did intend to come back a couple of times between the last time and this time, but obviously I did not. I believe my last video was in September, and I wish I had a good excuse for why I had not come back, but I just can't seem to get my act together these days. So anyway, I can't get my act together in such a way that I have not planned at all for this video, have no notes. I have not looked back at what I shared with you last, so I guess what I'm going to do today is basically just do a WIP parade, talk about my plans for the coming year, and maybe see if we can get things back on track. So if you're one of my returning friends, I thank you so much for sticking around and waiting and watching this latest installment of Katrina's craziness. If you are a new viewer, I am glad you're here, and I hope that you will find something that interests you and inspires you, and that you'll stick around and maybe even hit that subscribe button. So if you are new here, this channel is kind of a mishmash of a lot of different things. I am a multi-craftual person. My favorite hobby is cross-stitching, but I also enjoy dabbling in knitting, quilting, papercrafting, and I am also an avid reader. Also, if you're new here, just a little bit about myself. I am a librarian. I work for the public library in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, which is right smack dab in the middle of the state and is home to Central Michigan University. Anyway, I divide my videos up into sections, and each section will have a timestamp down below, so you can skip ahead, skip around, whatever. So the first thing I always start with, because it is my favorite, is cross stitch, and so let's go. So as I said, I'm basically going to do a WIP parade. There is no rhyme or reason for when I'm showing you stuff. I'm just going to literally grab it and show it, because I don't remember what I showed last. I could probably go back and figure out what I've worked on last, but that feels like a moot point. I'm just going to go ahead, show everything, and I think I'm going to try to throw plans information in as we go. So I will be referring to my planner, which is on my iPad. I have been doing digital planning since April-ish of last year, and I am really liking it. And one of the things I like is that I can keep everything kind of in one place, but yet it takes up very little space. So I will pull up my WIP Go board so that as I'm showing things, I can hopefully add in those other tidbits of information about the WIP. And I'm going to pause right here for a minute because I'm going to go get a small table to set my iPad on. Okay, I'm back. So the first thing on the pile, which I honestly don't know the last time I worked on this, is called This Is the Day. And I want to say this is a Plum Street Samplers. I will insert a picture here of what it should look like when it's finished. And here is where I am. I have not gotten very far. This is on my WIP Go board. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, with a goal of working on it 4 hours each time. So that would be 20 hours of work. I am actually hoping that that will end up meaning I'll finish it. And I can see that my battery is flashing, so I'm going to stop here and change the battery so that it doesn't run out on me. I'm back. I apologize if things seem very scattered. Obviously, I'm out of practice. I don't do this enough normally anyway, and then I've taken a huge break. I did not plan, and I'm a planner. And also, I have tree people out cutting down a tree in my yard, and so my husband keeps texting me asking about the tree, and I keep going out and looking, and these things fascinate me. Why, I don't know. They're just cutting down a tree, but they have this big old lift thing that kind of looks like a big old spider, and guy's way up in the air, so I don't know. It's just something kind of cool. Anyway, so I just got done telling you about This Is the Day. The next thing here in my pile is called Glory of Autumn. This is a dimensions kit. I believe that Jessie Marie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff just finished this. I'm so jealous. I wish mine was finished. Hers looks, I think, quite a bit nicer than mine because she was smart and she changed out her fabric. And I wish that I had thought to do that. She changed to a linen, I think, or an even weave, and I'm just using the kit fabric. Here's a picture of what it should look like when it's finished. And here's where I am. I do love this picture, but I do not necessarily enjoy stitching on this. If you've never done a dimensions kit, dimensions kits, how they create the dimension is sometimes you stitch with 6 threads, sometimes you stitch with 2, sometimes you stitch with 2 of one color and 1 of another, sometimes you do half stitches, and some of these places where there are 3 and 4 strands next to 3 and 4 strands, it gets a little hard on the hands to push your needle through. So this isn't necessarily my favorite one to work on, but I do love this and I do want it finished. I think this will probably end up hanging in our camper. This one is on the WIP Go board. One time? That's it? That's all I put it on here? I'm only finding it one time for 4 hours. No, 2 times. I lied. So it should get at least 8 hours. And I really want it finished. Then, so if you're new here, I have 3 large full coverage pieces, and then I have a couple of pieces that I consider medium size. Glory of Autumn would be one of my medium sized pieces, and then I have several small pieces. I don't know right off the top of my head. I think I have maybe 13 or 14 WIPs. I should count. But the next one I'm going to show you is one of my full coverage. This is called Sunlight Sonata, and this is a Tilton Crafts. This is a Tilton Crafts pattern. The finished product should be there right now. And what I do with my full coverage is I rotate them. I work on one full coverage piece for 2 months, then I switch out to a different one for 2 months, then the third one for 2 months, and then I go back to the first one. So each of my full coverage projects gets 4 months worth of work each year, just in 2-month chunks. That keeps me from getting too bored, I guess, with them or burnt out on them. And basically what I tend to do is I work on my full coverage pieces usually on the weekends, and my weekends are Friday, Saturday, and Sunday usually. And then during the week I usually pick up my smaller pieces, just because that's what I do. Here is where it stands currently, and this one is not on my WIP Go board at all. But it will get its 4 months worth of work. The next one I'm going to show you is a Heaven and Earth Designs pattern called Mini the Library. There will be a picture of what it should look like there, and I also want to show you my recent brainiac idea. I wanted something to hold these together, and I had these ponytail holders, which I bought for something else because obviously this girl doesn't have ponytails. And I was like, oh, I wonder if those ponytail holders would work to hold that together, and they work great. So if you're ever trying to figure out how to hold scroll bars together, here is where I am. I just recently switched this one out. Let's hold it straight. Let's move the Grinch. He's kind of right in the middle of everything because I had him rolled up. Let's move him off there. I just recently switched this one out. This one was what I was working on up until December 31st. I feel like I should explain. I'm kind of trying something different with this one, although I may not have to. These are all like waste threads from over here. Like I finished and I just pulled it through over here, and with the hopes that I would stitch over it here and then I could cut them off. I was doing that because I was having a hard time flipping. I do have a Lowry stand, and I was having a hard time flipping it to get to the back side. I have adjusted some things in my stitchy spot, so maybe that won't be an issue when I get this out next time, because I'm not sure I'm a super big fan of this waist thread situation, but it's kind of working. So anyway, I was trying to work down this side, and then I wanted to kind of just keep working down and across. So that is Mini the Library. I know that Sarah the Stitchin' Mommy started this one. Her and I started, I think, the same time. Rainy from Rainy Day Reads recently started it. So there are a couple other people doing it, and it's fun to watch theirs come to life as well. My third full coverage piece is called Mini Village Bookstore. This is a Heaven and Earth Designs, and the artwork for this one, I'll have to put the artwork for the other one at the bottom of the screen because I forgot to say it and I don't know who it is. Mini Village Bookstore is a Randall Spangler artwork. Again, Heaven and Earth Designs. Here's what it should look like when it's finished. This is my oldest full coverage, and I am getting pretty close to 50%. This is the one that I'm currently working on, and purple is one of my favorite colors. I kind of have three favorite colors: purple, red, and the red encompasses like burgundy, and blue. And so this house just, there are so many things about this that, like, when I saw this, I was like, well, I have to do that. It's purple. It's a Victorian house. I love old Victorian houses. I think they're just beautiful. It's a bookstore. Hello. So anyway, right now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to finish this. There's a lot of ninja stitches in here. I'm trying to finish this up. I really hope that by the end of my 2 months, I kind of have maybe not a straight line, but basically everything from here up I want to have done. And then I'm just going to continue to fill this in. But this is the one I am currently working on. I also don't have this one on my WIP Go board, but again, it's in my rotation every other month, and I do kind of make monthly goals. They're just guidelines. And I kind of set a 4,000 stitch goal for the month of January. I don't know if that's possible, but we're going to give it a shot. I am not participating in any external challenge groups except for WIP Go. There is a Michigan cross stitch group on Facebook, and for a while there was a challenge on that group. Harmony Terry was running it, and it was Stitch the USA, I think it was called. And I don't really know what happened or why, but she had to stop the challenge along maybe August of last year. But I decided to continue it. So I picked up, I had a chart in my planner where I was keeping track every time she would call a state. Basically what she would do is she had all the state capitals on a wheel. She would spin the wheel. That was the state capital we were going to that month. So you had to use Google Maps or whatever kind of map program you wanted to use and figure out the distance from your house to that state capital. And that was the number of stitches that you had to put in to meet the challenge. And so I enjoy that because, you know, it was really low key. So I am continuing that. I went ahead and I made my own wheel with the remaining state capitals, and I am spinning that every month, and just for fun because I wanted to finish it out. So this month I am going to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, which is 620 stitches, which I should have by the end of today or tomorrow because I'm currently at 609. This piece is the one that I'm counting the stitches for that little challenge of my own. So anyway, there's that. That covers all my full coverage. The next piece I'm going to show you would be my other piece that I would consider to be a medium. It's actually kind of a large piece. But it's not full coverage. And this is Pandemic by Long Dog Sampler. Here's, and I'm sorry, I'm not gonna take this out of the Q-Snap. Here's what it looks like in the Q-Snap. This is fabric that I dyed myself. And saying that reminds me that I am terrible about telling you what size fabric I use, what threads I'm using, all that pertinent information that good Flosstubers tell people when they show their work. And so, because I know that I'm horrible at that kind of thing, if you are interested in any of those details, if you look in the description box below the video, you will find a link to a Google Doc where I keep all that information, and it is, the link to that document is available there, and you can go look at it and see the information for yourself. I will also put a picture. I did recently take a picture of Pandemic outside of the Q-Snap, I believe, and if I can find that, I will put that here so you can get a better view of that. But Pandemic is on the WIP Go board. Let me get back to my WIP Go board. Pandemic is on the WIP Go board two times for 500 stitches each. So at a minimum, Pandemic should get 1,000 stitches this year. The next piece is a piece that I do not have on my WIP Go board at all. And I need to, this is going to have to become a priority probably next month. It's called Mr. and Mrs. I have a niece getting married in May, and this is going to be for her and her future husband. These threads are Leo and Roxy, or Roxyco, I don't know what they're calling themselves now. Threads, they're purples and grays. And this is obviously going to be a wedding gift. I think I'm going to bite the bullet and have this one professionally framed, mostly because of the border, and I just fear that I will not be able to get the border. I fear that I will not be able to get it mounted and have the border be straight. So I think that I'm going to go ahead and have this professionally framed, which means I need to get it done in the next month or two so that I can take it and have that done and not have to worry about it. So although this isn't on a WIP Go board and it's not in this month's goals, it is going to be coming out next month. Let's say February. February is a great month to work on a love piece, right? The next piece that I'm working on is in here. I think I have this one is called Give Thanks. This is a Teresa Kogut piece. I would really like to have this done. This is 16 Count Ada by Charles Craft. I only know that because I have a little post-it note right there. I really wanted this one done this year. That just didn't happen. Here's where we stand. So I still have half a pumpkin to go, and then all of the leaves on that right hand side, probably your left. This one is not on the WIP Go board. Kind of surprised. Maybe because I had hoped to have this one finished at the end of last year, and obviously that didn't happen. So that one I really do want to whip down a little bit. And so this is one that I want to focus on at some point in the near future to try to finish up. I'm going to show this one. It's not really a whip because it hasn't been started, but it is part of my plans for 2024. This is called Autumn Rules. It's by Primrose Cottage Stitches. And I have the fabric. I do not have any of the threads in this bag, but I do have the fabric. This one is on my WIP Go board. Autumn Rules, yes. Okay, sorry, my eyes were not seeing it. It's on here 2 times to work on it for 4 hours each time. So it should get at least a minimum of 8 hours work this year. And so here I say I want to whip down, and then I have a new start. But I bought this like a year and a half ago, and would really like to get it started. Oh, and that's Gloria Bottom. Oh, I didn't bring this one in here because it's in a different spot. This bag has the stuff. I keep all my projects in these bags. You can get a set of them for relatively inexpensively on Amazon. They're probably about 9 by 12-ish, 9 by 11 bags. They're almost like a plastic mesh, and they zipped top. I think fabric project bags are beautiful, but they just really don't work for me. They're too floppy. They're expensive, and I would rather spend my money on something else. I would love to have them, but you know, these work great for me, and they fit in my storage system. Anyway, this bag holds, I have 2 patterns that are World of Warcraft, which is a computer game, if you're not familiar, referred to by its players as WoW. I don't play, but my husband and at least one of my sons play. And I have 2 patterns that my husband found on Etsy that are WoW related, and he was like, these are really cool. And since the man doesn't usually ever say stuff like that, I bought them, and one of them I have one started, and then when I get one done, I will do the other one. So while I've been chatting, hopefully that will be up there. I will just insert a picture because it is in the other room. I have this one on my WIP Go board 1, 2, 3, 5 times to work on it, 500 stitches each time. So it should get a good deal of progress this year. And that one is This Is the Day. I feel like that can't possibly be all of my stuff. This is the day. Oh, in the past I have done Christmas ornaments for 2 of my nieces and she was my son's fiance, now she's my son's wife. And this year I did a 4th one for my younger son also. So I'm doing ornaments basically for my 2 sons and 2 of my nieces, and I plan on doing that again this year. I haven't picked them out, but I will be picking it out probably this weekend because this month's WIP Go calls were square 9 and square 22. And I doubt that you'll be able to see my iPad screen on here, but 9 is to do another lighthouse from, I have 2 different booklets that have lighthouses and another separate lighthouse pattern, all ones that my mom has picked up over the years and gave to me. And square number 22 was to do one of the Christmas ornaments. So I will be picking out the Christmas ornament. to work on. Probably today or tomorrow, because Square 9 lighthouse, start and finish one of the lighthouses. I should be able to finish this today. Here's a picture of the lighthouse I'm working on. This is, I'm embarrassed to say right now, I don't know which lighthouse this is. Something Sturgeon Point Lighthouse. I think it's a Lake Huron lighthouse, which if you're not from Michigan, Lake Huron is on the thumb side. Lake Huron's over here. So I'm almost finished with this lighthouse. I have down here, you can't even tell, but there's some white that has to be filled in down here and some back stitching that has to be done, and then I have to put the name of the lighthouse down here. I also finished one other one of these in December, and I'm not sure. I'm going to share with you what my idea is for what I want to do with these, and maybe you all can tell me if this is a bad idea. I'm going to give these back to my mother. I like lighthouses as much as anybody else, but I don't really need to have these hanging anywhere in my house. So, and my mom loves lighthouses. Like, if you're anywhere where there's a lighthouse, we got to go see the lighthouse. She has, in her eat-in kitchen area, she has a bay window with like a shelf, and it's all these little lighthouse, you know, figurines, and she has shelves on the walls with lighthouses on them. They're beautiful. But honestly, she doesn't have any place even to hang all these lighthouse pictures that I'm stitching. So what I was thinking about doing is buying a portfolio type album at, say, Joann's or someplace, and putting each one of these on a page, and on the facing page I would go on the internet and I would do some research, real basic research, and basically just write up or copy and paste from somewhere, excuse me, a history of the lighthouse, when it was built, when it was opened, you know, how long it was a working lighthouse, etc., and just put that on the other side. And then she could set this album next to or near her lighthouse collection and look through it, but not have to find a place to hang all this stuff on the wall. Does that sound like a decent idea? I don't know. I need to think on that some more and think on how I would actually attach them, but that was my idea. Okay, sorry, I don't know where I was. The tree guys were done and I had to go pay them. So while I was up, I went and grabbed the last WIP that I want to show you. When it comes to WIP Go for 2023, I did not get a blackout on my board. The last December's calls were to do a lighthouse and to do where is that lighthouse? It's in the other room. And to do irony, the opposite of wrinkly. And this was a start and a finish, and I don't know who I thought I was that I could start and finish this all in 1 month, because I don't ever have this kind of time. But this is the one that I thought I was that was on there. So I did start it, but there was no way it was getting finished. So this isn't on this year's WIP Go board because, of course, I wanted it to be finished. I have made a valiant effort at getting it started. Here's where I am. And I will, when I finish the ornament, like when I finish the lighthouse today, then I will pull out the stuff and start one of the ornaments for this year. When I finish the ornament, then whatever time I have left this month, I will pull out this piece and I will work on it in an effort to try to get it finished. So anyway, there is that. What else can I tell you about cross stitch? Nothing really. I did place a rather large 1, 2, 3 stitch order a week or so ago, and that should be getting here any day now. Mostly what I purchased with that, I purchased 3 more of the weenies patterns. If you have been with me for any amount of time, you know that I have been doing the weenies patterns by, are those Plum Street samplers? I can't remember. I have been doing those patterns for my sister-in-law who has a dachshund named Penny, and I've done several of them over the years. And this year I went through and I figured out what patterns there still were left that I had not done, and looked at what I hadn't done and what I had done. What my goal was to have her have a collection where she could basically switch them out throughout the year and have something to cover every season or every portion of the year. And so I sent her a document. I said, these are the ones I've done for you. These are the ones that I still have not done for you. And of those, I personally like these three, these other 2 or 3, I don't really care for. And she was in agreement. So I purchased she actually really wanted 2. There's a 3rd one that I just think is really cute. So I purchased all 3 of the patterns that I intend to do. And I purchased at least 1 or 2 pieces of fabric. And I did purchase some of the specialty overdyed threads for the first one that I'm going to tackle. And so my plan is that those 3 will be the last 3 weenie patterns that I do for her. And so I bought those, and I bought like some Q-snap things and just odds and ends. I didn't buy anything super exciting. So I think that's really all I have to cover in cross stitch right now. So next up, let's talk about knitting. I do enjoy knitting. I don't find I have a whole lot of time for it. I can't do an entire WIP parade really on knitting because like I have a project at work that I haven't touched in forever. It's a baby blanket that I'm just knitting for the heck of knitting it. But I do have a couple projects here that I will show you. I think I mentioned that years and years ago my grandmother had made myself and my brother and my 2 cousins Christmas stockings. And so I got this great idea that I was going to make one for my new daughter-in-law, which I am under no illusions that they will actually use these because I know they bought stockings this year. But actually I have my son's right here because it needs some help. So this is my son's. His is obviously Santa Claus. I believe my husband and I both have snowmen, and my other son probably also has Santa Claus. No, that's not right. I don't remember what they all are. Anyway, I found these patterns on Mary Maxim, and I bought them. And they're super old, and you can tell because like they look like they're photocopies of the original pattern. So I decided that since my son's was Santa Claus, I would make my daughter-in-law's be Mrs. Claus. And I am this far. So my goal for this project is to finish it this year, just so they can have it next year as a decoration. I do not have any idea if I'm doing this correctly. I actually had it probably this far and ripped it back because I was trying to, I think they're called floats. I just had strings going across, and I wasn't super happy with that. And when I took a look at these that my grandmother had made, they don't have that on the inside. There are a couple small floats, I guess you'd call them, but there aren't, like up here there aren't. And there are no directions in the instructions for this stocking for how to do this. So I'm kind of just doing the intarsia method that my little dog thing had me doing, and a combination of that and then just tying stuff off. It's kind of a hot mess, which is probably why I haven't really worked on it, because I literally have things of yarn everywhere with barrettes holding them together. And anyway, so I would like to finish that, like I said, just as a decoration. I know they're never going to use it. I want to get back to working on George the dog. George the dog is all knit. He just needs to be stuffed and put together, which I'm finding is not my favorite part, but I need to finish him and maybe start a new one or start some clothes for him. And then, excuse me, goodness. The other project I'm working on is a shawl, which I know I did show last time. And I asked for some advice last time. And Kay from the Cave of Possibilities, I was hoping she would chime in, and she did. And she's like, you know, honestly, that yarn is probably better for socks. And I was like, yeah, I think you're right. Well, I thought maybe if I started at the other end of the ball of yarn, it would be better. So I tried that. No, still wasn't great. Didn't like it. So I ended up totally restarting it. You may remember that I had purchased 3 balls of yarn. I had this one. And then I had one that was more of a solid blue. And then this is the one I had started with. I actually rewound this ball so that it would be going from the other direction. I had this ball of yarn. And if you look in the middle, there's a lot more green and purple. So that's why I thought, well, maybe if I start from the other end, it would be better. It wasn't. It was still striping way more than I wanted it to. So honestly, actually, here's that restart. I guess I still have it. You can see it's still stripy, and that's not at all the look I wanted. So I started again. I may not use this ball of yarn at all for this project at this point. I restarted and I decided to use this ball of yarn for the main portion of the shawl. And here's where we are. I like the way this is turning out. This, I am in the portion of the pattern right now where I can remember the pattern. I don't even have to look it up. It's you knit across with increases at each one of the markers. An increase here, an increase there. You knit 2, increase here, increase there, knit 2, increase here, then knit your final 3. And then on the opposite, on the way back the other way, you just purl, or you knit the end 3 and purl the middle whole thing, and then knit the last 3. And you have to do that a lot, like till you get to row 107 or something like that. And I think I'm probably on about row 75-ish, 80 maybe. So I have a ways to go yet. And I need to get back to, I was trying to work on this like every night for an hour. And if I could get Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy to come in, I was kind of like watching Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy and doing that. But I'm not even sure I can get 2 rows done in an hour now because the rows are getting so long. Anyway, that is where that is. I will put a picture of what that should look like when it's finished. So anyway, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the blue yarn and this yarn, and I'm not going to use that other ball at all. This reminds me also, though, I was talking in one of my previous videos asking if anyone had any ideas for how to, what app to use to read knitting patterns. I tried Knitting Companion. It wasn't that I didn't like it, I just felt like there were a lot of features that I wasn't using, and I didn't really want to pay for it every year if I wasn't really using it. So I wanted to share real quick what I have been using. Excuse me. My family had the crud like the week before Christmas, and I thought I was going to avoid it, and then like 2 days before it, I got it. And I'm basically over it, but of course I have the lingering cough that everyone seems to have. I am using, and the reason I want to talk about this real quick, hopefully my cross stitch people are still with me. I am using an app called Goodreader. It's that icon right there. Here's my pretty page. Isn't she such a cutie? Goodreader. I am using that one to do my knitting apps. And what I like about it is that I can literally write on the screen, like as if I was writing on a piece of paper, which is what I have to do. But the reason I bring this up is because I had mentioned that I was also going to try using this to work on cross stitch projects. And I am. And somebody asked me to let you know if I figured out how to make that work. I am using this program to read Glory of Autumn, I think. Now, why can't I find it? Cross stitch patterns. Right there. Now, this isn't the best solution in the world, but if you don't, I don't really want to pay for Markup RX or whatever that's called. And I'm just kind of being cheap. I know that because, but there again, they've gone to a pay per year, and I understand why. I get it. But I am a Pattern Keeper user and I love it. And for the most part, it does what I need it to do. But for those patterns that I can't seem to get to work in Pattern Keeper, what I'm doing, I did scan the Glory of Autumn pattern. Actually, I got it from the company because if you email them, they'll send it. So I'm going to show part of it. If you can do any portion of this pattern off of this, then more power to you. But this app does allow you to highlight, and you can set the transparency of your highlights. So basically, I can't use it to count stitches. I can't use it to search for stitches, but I can still mark it off by using, one of the tools, and I can change the point. So like I can change it from 0.5 all the way up to 9 point. I think I have it set at a 5 point, and I can pick the color and I can pick the opacity. So I am able to mark it off that way. And that's better than being able to read that particular pattern on my iPad is better than trying to fiddle with the paper because it's just awful. So anyway, I did want to bring that up because I did have somebody ask me. And I don't know why I'm coughing so much all of a sudden. Nice SVSU mug. Go Cards. Oh, and it doesn't hurt my feelings any that this knitting is turning out looking like a U of M thing. Go Blue. Hail to the victors. Just had to get that in there. Because from what I understand, they won some big football game the other day. Usually at this point, I would talk about quilting and paper crafting. All I'm going to say on those two fronts is that I have 2 quilting projects that I really want to tackle this year. One of them is a quilt that I want to give to my mother-in-law for Christmas. I kind of hoped it would happen last year, but it didn't. But I really would like to give that to her next year. And then I have another quilt that I started for myself that I would really like to get to. I really need to figure out how to manage my time better. And I need to learn how to say, it's fine. Whatever I seem to think I need to work on around the house can wait. Other people in my house don't have a problem leaving things to be done until later, and I need to learn to do that once in a while myself. I jokingly tell my mother that she taught me too well. My mother was very much taught me growing up that I had to do my work first and then I could play. And unfortunately, I seemed to have learned that too well. And I sometimes work to the point where there is no time left to play and I need to stop. It's not necessary. Papercrafting, I do have a papercrafting WIP go board. I failed miserably on my papercrafting WIP go board last year, and I'm hoping that I will do better this year. I will throw in some pictures. I have already finished the 2 things for this month. So I'm hoping that I can do better this year. I also made the goals very, very simple compared to last year. Like most of the time it is make 2 birthday cards. I mean, sometimes it's that simple, like 2 cards. That's all you got to do. I think the biggest ones on there, and it's on there 4 different times, is to make 10 Christmas cards, which if I do that 4 times, I'll have 40 cards or whatever. So I'm hoping to do better on the paper crafting this year than I have done in the past. But we'll see how that goes. So the last thing that I usually like to talk about in my videos are books, what I've been reading. I had heard about BookTube off and on over the years, but I, for some reason, had never really looked into it. And I think I have Rainy from Rainy Day Reads to blame for this. She made some comment. Actually, I probably can go further back from that. I think I have Leanne from Small Town Stitches to blame for leading me to Rainy, who then led me to some various booktubers. I think that in my head, I probably assumed that there weren't booktubers out there talking about the books that I like to read. And I was wrong. There are. So I have started following 2 or 3 people who I enjoy, and they talk about the same kind of books that I like to read. And I think that just nudged me to read more because I saw what they were reading and I wanted to read it. So my reading picked up at the end of last year, and I actually exceeded my Goodreads goal for last year was to read 70 books, and I think I read 111. Now there were a couple of kids books in there, and there were a handful of novellas, but still, I still exceeded the goal by quite a bit, so I was quite happy about that. I have set this year's Goodreads goal to be 75. And I am already at 5 this year. And again, to be fair, one of them was a novella, I think. It's hard to tell when they're an ebook, to be honest. But I think it was only 100 and some pages or 200 pages, so it probably was a novella. I also, through the watching BookTube videos and whatnot, somebody said that Kindle Unlimited was offering a deal where you could get 3 months free. And to be honest, I didn't really know what Kindle Unlimited was. I had heard of it, but I didn't really know what it was. So I looked into it a little further, and I looked, and yes, I could get the 3 months for free deal. So I thought, well, I'll test it out. And I honestly was thinking that I would test it out and then I would just not continue after the 3 months. But I think that I might continue. I'm trying to kind of keep track of how many books I'm reading off of there so that I can make sure that it's not just a waste of money. But I have been reading some stuff off there also. So if you follow me on Instagram, I have been putting up an end of the month wrap up for my reading, and I'm going to try to continue to do that because I really do like that. And I will actually put, here is my end of the month wrap up for December. I will put it up on the screen here. Basically what I'm doing is I'm putting up slides that show my 5-star reads, my, if I had any 4.5s, 4s, etc. And in those slides, I'm also including not only the cover art, but there's a small icon on the lower right corner of each book that indicates how I read it. If it has a little tablet, that means I read it through on my iPad. I have various apps that I read through on my iPad. Headphones means that it was an audiobook, and an open book means that it was a print book. So those books that you see there are what I read last month. Let me look real quick at what those were, because right now I can't remember. December wrap up. So I won't go through all of them, but I will. Let's talk about my 5-star reads. Kiss Me at Christmas was a really cute book. That was a novella. I am still, I'm going to continue with the Elm Creek Quilts series for the next few months, only because she's coming out with a new book in April or May for that series, which she hasn't had a new book in that series in ages. And so now, since I'm so close, I feel like, well, I should just finish and get kind of caught up until this new book comes out. In my 4-star reads, there are 3 of them that are all part of a series. A Noble Masquerade, An Inconvenient Beauty, and A Return to Hawthorne House were all part of a series. And I had read one of that series. There's another book in that series that I had read years ago and I had enjoyed, and I don't know why I had never finished it. But A Return to Hawthorne House is actually a collection of, I think, 2 or 3 short stories all related to that series. And that one won a Christie. One of the stories in that book won a Christie Award last fall. So that was why I wanted to read it. So then I went back and read the other 2. And I enjoyed that a great deal. So those were Regency Christian fiction. So if you like that time period, I think you would enjoy those. You can see I read a lot of Christmas books in December. I was trying to read Christmas books. My 3.5-star reads were all Christmas books. So was my 3-star read. Let's talk about my 2.5-star reads. Normally I wouldn't talk about these, but again, one of them was a Christmas book. I happen to know the author of that book personally, so I kind of feel bad giving it a 2.5 stars, but it was an okay book. But unless you're really bored and it was an okay book. It wasn't super great. The Boys in the Boat, though, I want to talk about that one for a second, because when I read the reviews for The Boys in the Boat on Goodreads, people rave about it, how great this book was. And I have to tell you that I am actually looking forward to watching the movie. I'm hoping that it will come out on DVD in the next few months and I can get it, because I'm not huge on going to the theater. But it took me forever to read that book, probably 6 months. And I actually, at the end, literally, I figured out how many pages I had left. I divided them up on how many I had to read each day to get that thing done by December 31st, because by golly, I did not want to carry that one over into 2024. The first half of the book, I felt like I was slugging through mud. The second half got progressively better, and the last quarter to me was the best part of the book. There was just an awful lot of technical details and information and going back and forth about how the guy was choosing the team, and I kind of was like, I really don't care. Could you just get on with how they ended up at the Olympics and how they ended up winning? So anyway, I know a lot of people think that book was great. To me, it was okay. But I've heard that the movie is excellent, so I'm looking forward to that. So far this month, I have read some good books, and I'm enjoying them a lot. There was something else I was going to show you, and now I can't remember what. Oh, I was going to show you how I'm trying to keep myself on track. So I've mentioned that I'm doing digital planning. I won't bore you with all of my life, but so one of the things I like about digital planning is I've been able to buy some sticker packs. And some of them have these like Post-it note stickers in them. And so what I've been doing is I've been making, one of them is my stitching goals for the month. And then I've been making like one be a monthly TBR. Mostly so that I can focus. Lately, I don't know if it's my age. I don't know if something's wrong with me, but I am having the worst time focusing. Like even at work, I find that I need to make myself a list. These are the 5 things you are going to do before you do anything else, because otherwise I am just like squirrel. And I don't know why. I don't know why. So, sorry, I think I just bumped the camera. My to be read list on Goodreads is well over 600 items, I'm sure. Because I put stuff on there and then it's like, I forget about it. So I really, my hair, I don't know what my hair is doing. I really need to focus. And so like the TBR, I may or may not get to all of that stuff. I'm actually doing pretty good right now. I don't know if you can really see that, but some of the items have check marks on them. 3 items checked, and then I have 3 items that have dots next to them. And that dot is my symbol to myself that that is a book I am currently working on. And then I can tell you that, well, the Quilter's Kitchen has a dot next to it. I actually have to go pick that one up from the library here in town. I had to put a hold on it, and I did get an email yesterday that it was in. So I haven't technically started that one yet, but I will today or tomorrow. I'm actually doing pretty good, I think, because I think I can get through all of that plus those other 2 yet this month. But at least that's making me focus when I finish an audiobook. Okay, is there something on this list that I can do on audio that I need to pick up next? Or I finished a book, what book should I pick up next? Because otherwise I just like willy-nilly pick up a book and then it's like, oh yeah, I look at my to be read list 6 months from now and go, oh yeah, I wanted to read that and I never did. So I'm trying to do this just to kind of keep myself focused. But the nice thing about these little Post-it note things is that, and I'm using the GoodNotes app to do my planner in, is that at the end of the week, I can basically use my Apple Pencil and I can put a lasso around this and I can copy those things and paste them into next week. So if I've made any notations, like the fact that I already have 609 stitches on Mini Village Bookstore, and that I already, by next week, I'll have a lighthouse finished, so I can check mark that. If I've made any notations like that or any notations regarding the books, those notations can move forward to next week. I don't have to rewrite it. And I guess I could have been doing that all along in my paper planners with an actual Post-it note, but was I? No. So anyway, I'm trying to keep my life in order. And also, just so you know, like all of this stuff in the middle, this is all stickers that came with, you don't need to see my life in general, but like all of this stuff is all part of the sticker pack. So every week doesn't look like that. And I'm finding it just really fun to be able to put these digital stickers on my planner and decorate each week a little differently, and I can use them over and over and over again because they're digital, and so that's really awesome. Anyway, I've probably rambled on way longer than I should. So if you're still here, thank you. I hope that everyone is getting all of the stitchy and crafty time that they would like to have. I hope that if you're in Michigan, you're staying warm and that you are stocked up on everything you need to be stocked up on, because word has it we're getting a big storm this weekend. We got probably 3 to 4 inches Tuesday into Wednesday. So it's a winter wonderland out there right now. It looks really, really nice. I wish it had looked like this at Christmas, but it did not. We had absolutely no snow at Christmas, and now we have lots. And the weatherman is saying we could get 10 to 14 inches at my house Saturday. That's a lot of snow. I'm a little nervous about that, only because I'm supposed to work Saturday, which is why I'm home today and able to film this video. My husband has already texted me and said, your boss really needs to look at the weather for Saturday, but if he doesn't close, you might need to take some clothes with you to work in case you can't make it home. And I'm thinking, oh, okay. I don't really want to have to stay in a hotel, but I guess if I can't make it home, I might have to consider it. I don't know. That's a lot of snow, though. I mean, we're Michiganders. We're used to snow, but we don't necessarily get 10 to 14 inches in one foul swoop very often. Like, hardly ever. So, if you're in Michigan, stay warm. If you're somewhere else, I hope your weather is great and is whatever you want it to be. If you like cold, I hope it's cold. If you don't, I hope it's not. Anyway, I am going to try, I know I said this last year, but I'm going to try to get back to my every other month, probably at the beginning of the month. So let's say I'm going to shoot for the beginning of March to come back, give you a wrap up on what I actually worked on January and February. And then at that point, I will have switched to my next full coverage piece. So then when I come back at the beginning of May, I would then show you a different full coverage piece. So we'll see how that works. We'll see if we can keep up with it. We'll see if Katrina can get her act together. So, happy crafting, everyone. Bye.